What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go, a podcast about life in the music industry. I'm your host, Patrick Tarnowski, and with me, we got the super Gibby.
Yo,
He's here making his first co-hosting gig. Man, I'm proud of you, Gibby. I'm ready for you to be on this journey with me.
I've come a long way from random Halloween special guest winning the the spooky award crown.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember what we did for that, but
All
but
I know is I
today
won trivia
we
and I'm leader of that fan club still.
Oh yes. You won the Halloween trivia. That's right. But today we welcome Eric Butler from Mom Jeans on the show. Eric, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Ooh.
Hello. That will add all of those massive crowd noises. Usually it's children cheering.
Nice. I like that with a little burr, 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 air horn on there too.
Yeah.
There we go. And then the car
Yeah.
crash and the explosion sound and everybody's
We should that's what we should just start doing. We'll I think Gibby's got the setup. He can start having like the sound effect. He'd be the sound
make
effect
it
guy.
a bit and have the sound effect like never end. Like it keeps going like a Family Guy bit where it's just like you just keep hearing things happening. It just never ends. And then like you're 5 minutes into the show before you even realize what's going on.
That's kind of like, so we interviewed Calling All Captains, and they had a soundboard and they would just fucking do it like just while we're just talking.
That doesn't sound distracting at all.
It was humorously distracting though. Like we would just constantly just die.
That's awesome. Yeah, my partner and I play video games, and we have like a group chat that we play with, and like there's like really funny like sound effects that you can play on Discord when you're all having a conversation. And I like sometimes like I'm on console, so I'm like I'm breaking my back trying to keep up with everybody else that's on a PC, and they're all like chatting with each other and talking and stuff, and so they're like they get a kill and then they like make a sound effects after it, and I think it's so awesome, but I could never get away with that, unfortunately.
I am a big fan of the new Discord soundboard.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's funny because like I pay for like the Discord Nitro just because like I like all the different like perks that come with it. But I get to use like soundboards from like all the different servers I'm in and like any of them. So like all like the weird, crazy, funny ones are I just like pull out in like a random call with a friend and they're like, where is that from?
Yeah, at a moment's notice. It's a nice to have in your arsenal for sure.
Yeah, Gibby is our resident video gamer.
That is me.
He has seen me play video games and I enjoy them, but I wouldn't say I'm good at any of them unless it's like early Nintendo.
I fall into that category minus being good at early Nintendo. I just like playing video games, but I'm not good at them at all.
I like to play Apex. That's like my favorite like newer game. And like Gibby's, I think he's seen me kill like one person, and I'm so pumped if I get like a kill. I'm like, who's the fucking best? I am.
Yeah, it makes your whole week.
Yeah, like I am just up. I'm stoked. I treat people better after getting a kill.
I used to be like that with Call of Duty Warzone. I was like a big Call of Duty person like early in the pandemic because I played it a lot as a teenager, and then you know everybody had free time on their hands and I started playing a lot of Call of Duty and a lot of Warzone, but it was just not good for my anxiety and my mental health. Honestly, I realized that it was like I was waking up like ripping coffee, and then like 8:30 I was at the TV just like sweating bullets, like hands shaking, just like what was that? Like just blasting the sound in your headphones so you can hear every footstep and every sound effect and everything. And so yeah, I had to chill out off of that, and I wasn't good. I think I got like one Warzone win the entire time, and I was on a team, so it wasn't even me really. I got carried. So but yeah, so I just play Overwatch now, and even now
that is my game.
Even that can be a little trying of my patience.
Overwatch is like That is my game right now.
Yeah,
Literally,
you
my
just had
YouTube channel is like all Overwatch. We just did me and
tournament.
some friends try to enter a tournament. It was like an open qualifier. We
Yeah,
got put up against like two top 500 teams. I was like, or like two players. I was like, yo, nope, we're done. That's it.
that's
We
awesome.
got
But yeah,
absolutely rolled.
that's sick. But yeah, so like I play Overwatch with my partner and her sister and some of their friends a lot. But even then, like I have to sometimes like I'll play one or two games. I'm just like, yo, this last one, like I can't do this to myself today. I've already had a bad day, and this is the opposite of relaxing. I'm getting like I have veins popping out of my forehead because of 14-year-olds, and I don't need that in my life right now. Uh,
That's
But
fair.
other times
That's
it's
fair.
fun. It's, like most things, it's fun when you're winning. So,
Yeah.
Yes, it is always more fun when you're winning,
yeah.
for sure. So yeah, we'll get back to a little music since this is
Anyways,
technically a music podcast. Technically, uh, I think at this point it could be like an action figure and video game podcast. At this point, as we go off the rail on anything like geeky and nerdy. But you released your latest album, Bear Market, back in November. What was the process like to pick and re-record the songs you chose, and why did you choose those songs?
so I think we tried to um we didn't like get our wires crossed, but I think like we tried to cover a lot of bases with Bear Market. Like in a lot of ways, it was like just an acoustic album. Like that was the initial idea is like, Mom Jeans Unplugged or like Mom Jeans Acoustic. Like, but
Yeah,
at the same time, um, our managers and our team and the people that we work with, saw it as an opportunity to also, continue breathing life into Sweet Tooth that just came out a couple years ago.
yeah,
So we wanted to, simultaneously feature a couple songs, like at least a handful of songs off of Sweet Tooth that we felt were really great songs and definitely had the moxie to be like put through the ringer again and like remixed.
Right.
And we already knew that Brett was going to be mixing the record, and Brett had mixed Sweet Tooth, and so it only seemed like right to kind of like work on songs that like he produced with us at the same time and like kind of make that a focus. So that was like so we just kind of picked our favorite Sweet Tooth songs, like the ones that we play the most live, and the ones that really seemed to be popping when we brought them out on tour. And then as far as the Best Buds and like similar idea with Best Buds and Puppy Love, like we just tried to stick to the songs that we play a lot live. So we've had a lot of experience playing them in a lot of different contexts, and we've maybe um been forced to play them acoustically, like against our will at
okay.
times when like the van breaks down or like the guitars break or the drummer gets sick or something like that.
Or you got to play a
Um,
show in Hot Topic.
or the show gets canceled and you got to play a
Yeah,
free show in the park next to the place where the show was supposed to be. Like stuff, shit happens.
yeah, totally.
And so those are the songs that we've kind of had those experiences with. It's no secret that like Death Cup and like Edward 40 Hands are kind of like our two most popular songs. So doing them seemed like kind of a no-brainer. Um,
Sure.
but yeah, at the same time, we also wanted to pick songs that we felt either I felt confident that I could either just go into a room by myself and play them acoustically and they would sound great. Like that's why Crybaby sounds that way, because I feel really like proud of how my vocals sound on that song. Like I feel like I'm really hitting the top of my register. Um, but there's, not every song on Sweet Tooth really lent itself to being remixed acoustically. Graduating Life was already an acoustic song, like Anime Theme Song and Love Later had acoustic elements that were already kind of in the DNA of the song. So doing those acoustically didn't really make the most sense. And there's songs from, you know, earlier discography like Best Buds and Puppy Love that either we haven't spent a ton of time playing them live together because nobody seemed to really want to hear them, or I just couldn't make it work like in my brain to like either play it by myself and have it be interesting, or try to do something different with the song and have that be in our minds at least as interesting as the original version. So that kind of dictated kind of which songs we lent towards, because initially it was like we just wanted to do as many songs as possible, but as soon as like the vision of the album started to come together and what we realized we were gonna actually be sitting down and doing, we had to kind of narrow it down to the songs that made the most sense. And once we realized we were also going to be spending so much more time on each song, we had to kind of whittle it down and not do like 25 songs or like try to accomplish the entire discography, because I don't know, we've always been a band that like, I don't, in my experience, like you can never unput something out, right? So it's like if
Right.
you ever have the experience of like putting something out, you know, if any musician like probably can identify with this feeling of like ever having to put out something that you know in your heart that you don't like necessarily, um
Yeah.
that shit comes back to haunt you like really badly, and your fan base can tell. And God forbid that uh you make a visible habit of doing that, you know, then you're in kind of like big trouble as far as like having a being a band that has an existing audience and has an existing fan base that expects you to make good stuff and
Right.
not just put it out. And it's like I don't know, I think that to a certain degree like people are going to find the stuff that they're like, but it's also it's not, it's lazy to me to just like put a buttload of content out there and like tell people like you sift through it and like find the stuff that's good, and then like make a playlist yourself and listen to it. Like here's every song we've ever done, and like, you know, half of them sound good and half of them don't, but like I'm gonna make you listen to all of them anyway and like sift. I don't know. I just we Why not pick the ones that we like that we know are dope and just kind of, you know, curate it a little bit, and they're all our songs, so we have the, it's our right and our like freedom to kind of do that. So why not? Yeah, it's kind of
Absolutely.
long-winded, but
No, that
But
was a
no,
great
that I mean,
answer.
it's a podcast. I think we're here to be long-winded, you
Yeah,
know?
we're
Shody,
here to listen to you.
I get worried about rambling sometimes, and I wonder if I'm still making sense. But
No,
yeah,
you made perfect sense. I will say you mentioned something that you felt like your vocals were like like hitting that stride,
yeah,
and just me personally as a fan, the first time I heard Sweet Tooth, I was like, whoa, like your vocals, you really like stepped up from like in that album. It felt like personally, I was like, I was thoroughly impressed.
thank you. I appreciate that. I think, I don't know, I'm really grateful for Sweet Tooth and like us doing that album and doing it with Brett Romanes, like as a result, and just like the experience that I had recording vocals with him was really, really positive. Um, but yeah, I think that like Sweet Tooth, especially, like, you know, I've said this before, like in interviews, like we kind of looked at it like a concept album, in the sense of it was like radio friendly, broad appeal, like commercially successful alternative music. Like what would, if we tried to do that, what would it sound like? What would those, you know, what would those songs be? Um, and I think that like I came to a realization myself, and then also the band like helped push me to a point of realization of understanding that doing songs in that style kind of demand to be sung a certain way. Like
Sure.
they demand a certain, not even necessarily a certain style of vocal, but like a certain amount of intensity and a
Hmm.
certain amount of intention and a certain amount of you know, yeah, attention to detail of like how you're singing things, and not necessarily um trying to sound like you're talking or worrying about sounding like yourself, which is something that I've always really struggled with. And I think if you listen to Best Buds and you listen to Puppy Love, um, not only are those like bad examples of my vocals, because like I was sick when we recorded vocals for both of those albums, and we just like didn't have the time and didn't have the money to like schedule things out. Like it just was what it was. Um, but at the same time, like I was much more interested, like I was already so uncomfortable doing vocals in the first place. And that just like kind of getting through it and getting the notes out there and getting the words out there were an accomplishment in and of itself for me, especially while playing guitar at the same time. So like Sweet Tooth, like, and that recording process and like writing the songs with the other guys and like their input and Brett's input like really helped me kind of like step back and think a lot more about like how I want to sing things, and also giving myself the freedom and the permission to understand that like I am the main vocalist in the band, and so that like as much as I'm allowed to like nerd out or go down a rabbit hole and be particular about what my guitar sounds like or what the drums might sound like in a recording process. Like I have full freedom to do as many takes of things as I want to try my vocal inflections or my cadence or the way that I'm saying certain words, like not liking your own diction, being able to listen back through takes and being like, well, I like all of that, but I really don't like the way that I said that one word. Like I want to redo it.
Right.
Um, and Brett's style of engineering. It was also the first time that like my vocals ever got comped. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with like what that means or if like listeners know what that means, but basically, um, engineers are able to go in and splice together the best parts of all of your takes.
Yep.
Um, so that it's not necessarily like a one take wonder. That's how most good vocals are recorded. And throwing a little bit of pitch correction on there for the first time to make sure that things like really hit properly and really sit where they're supposed to, so that you can blast this album. Like, I mean, blast Sweet Tooth out of your car speakers, and there's hope, like my vocals aren't going to feel jarring. They're not going to feel too loud. I'm not going to feel like I'm sticking out too much. Um, and I think that that is, like some people, I really appreciate that you like a Gibby. Like, thank you for the compliment. Not everybody feels that way. Um, and I think that the one thing that maybe if I could go back and like not do pitch correction on Sweet Tooth, um, and like stipulate and maybe just like really hone in and focus and make sure that like I got every single take perfect. I maybe would have done that. Just to be able to say that like, hey, fuck you, there's no auto tune on this. Like, so
Yeah.
that I don't want to hear the word auto tune come out of your mouth. Um, but like moving forward, like we have a live session that we recorded that we're putting out, and like that's all one take, like no pitch correction. Like that is just it's gonna be just straight raw vocals with a tiny bit of compression and EQ on it. So like
Sweet.
and I think my voice sounds great, and I think my voice sounds the way that it sounds on Sweet Tooth, and I hope that that's almost like gonna be like validating for some people and be like, oh shit, no, Eric actually did just get better at singing. Like,
Well, right. And you're gonna like through time, you're going to naturally get better, you
I
know,
hope, I would hope
in
so.
theory.
Right, like, and that's, I'm not trying to like dog on anyone either, like I'm not trying to be funny, like I would hope that I'm gonna get better at guitar just purely from like the amount of time I'm spending doing it. I would hope I would get better at singing.
Right.
And I think that as we've gotten bigger and as the stages and the opportunities that we've gotten to play on have gotten bigger, you start to notice a little bit more like,
Mhm.
oh wow, like I missed that note and it sounds real different coming through like a 5,000 cap venue PA than it does coming through like a basement show. And I think that like moving forward, like I'm really excited about like the stuff that we've been like working on and demoing recently, and I'm really excited about like the direction that our music is kind of shaping up to take for our next release. Because I think that like I'm not planning on doing any pitch correction on my vocals. Like I'm planning on keeping it like really raw, but also holding myself to a really high standard and like making sure that I'm getting like the best of myself, and kind of like bridging that gap between like a more raw, like I guess if you want to call it genuine, like less produced sound that makes that
Right.
people have kind of
Yeah.
come to know Mom Jeans for, but also have like I don't think that you should have to sacrifice like polish for realness.
Right.
Like you listen, like this is maybe a weird like connection to draw, but like you listen to Casey Musgraves, right?
Oh, love Casey.
And obviously Casey Musgraves music is like very produced and
Yeah.
it's very polished. It's a very shiny when you listen because it's pop music. That being said, when that woman goes on fucking Instagram live and pulls up a guitar and sings by herself in her bedroom, she sounds that good. Like, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and excuse me, but you can tell when somebody's like a good singer, and you can tell when somebody has good pitch and like their voice has a good resonance and stuff. So I'm hoping to kind of like I don't think that you should have to like sound bad necessarily or sound out of tune or sound like you're trying too hard um to sound genuine. And I think that in the past maybe I have sacrificed polish and I've sacrificed quality, um just because like I had to and not necessarily because it was an intentional decision. And it
Hmm.
worked in our favor because that's always what we sounded like live. But I will tell anybody, if you come to see Mom Jeans live, like my vocals sound good. I'm not missing very many notes, and my voice isn't cracking very much, and I'm not losing my voice as much as I used to, and that's pretty cool. And I hope it stays that way and just continues to get better.
Yeah, like
Hell yeah.
and with like when you said like we had to sacrifice that polishing, I know like this scene, like I always notice that like the bands that like in our like little scene that are like growing and getting big are the bands that kind of sound like the DIY self-produced bands.
Hmm.
Like where like they're not over polished and like but you can still like hear like it's like I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like the scene prefers a polished turd, if I guess is like the right way to describe it.
That's an interesting way to say it. I don't disagree with you. I think that you're right. Like and I think that that's always going to be the case for some people. Like it's just always going to be that way. And I think it comes with I think it's because of accessibility. I think that there's a certain element of like when people can almost like visualize and like they can tell like almost just by listening to your music like what guitar you're using and what shitty amp you're using and
Yeah.
like oh like they're just using Easy Drummer like everybody else like let's go like got the same drum samples that everybody's record have and it's like I don't know. I feel like it levels the playing field to a certain extent. And I think that there's also, I think I will also say that this scene is like very, very rooted in live performance, very,
Yeah.
very rooted in going to shows. And I think that there's a certain element of needing to stay true to what your band sounds like when you play a show. And I think that most bands, when they are recording their first EPs, whether they're doing it at home or whether they're doing it with somebody who has more knowledge and experience than they do, I think there's always hopefully a desire to make your recordings reflect what you are going to sound like when you show up to play in somebody's basement or show up to play at a DIY venue or show up to play at a 300 cap venue. And those things change when, like I said, like you're showing up and the venue is actually like 1,000 cap or 2,000 cap or 5,000 cap, and like the systems are hi-fi and you can actually hear everything and everybody's on in ears. Like the game just changes. And I don't personally like I don't know of any bands that I can like look up to necessarily that historically did a really good job of like treading that line sonically. I think maybe like Title Fight is like Floral Green is like probably the best example that I can give where like anybody like objectively that record sounds fucking amazing. Like I don't care who you are. The record sounds fucking good. And I think that like it's still incredibly raw, but it has polish and it has a listenability, a quality of listenability that some, most DIY and like self-recorded music just like doesn't have for whatever reason because, somebody like Will Yip who's been engineering for years and years and years and years and years and producing for years and years and years and years knows a little bit more about how to make a record sound good than a band who just knows what they want to sound like recording their own music. But yeah, it's really, really interesting. And I think that it's every band's like job to kind of figure out what they want. And I think if you're a band who just wants to do that, like I only want to self-record my own stuff, like I prefer that. I'm not interested in what I'm going to sound like in a studio or in a hi-fi setting, then good for you. Like, hell yeah, ride that wave,
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
thing. I think Mom Jeans, like just for our own experience, like we grew up listening to bands who did polished shit and who did hi-fi sounding stuff. And we wanted to know what it was like. What does it take to do that? Like I want to see behind the curtain. What is having your vocals comp sound like? What does pitch correction actually sound like? What is reamping and all of these signal chains and all of this crazy stuff that we've never been able to wrap our heads around before? Like what does it all mean and how does it all work? And being able to do that and having a context to do that with your own music, like with a producer like Brett Romness, who is like amazing and like teaches you what is going on the entire time, is like that was something that was important to us. And like, dare I say,
Yeah.
we were selfish, and it was just like, God forbid that like we are musicians and we wanted to go into a studio and like
For
have a
sure. I mean,
nice time in a nice studio, right?
I wouldn't say that it's like selfish in any way. I mean, most bands throughout their career will experiment, will try something new. Um, a lot of times, like the thing, like a lo-fi, very DIY sound that people will latch onto. Well, most of the time, a lot of the time, that's just based on circumstance. That's how we were able to record. That
Mhm.
was our budget. That's what
Yep.
we were able to do. Like we want to sound polished. We want to sound, I mean, some people do. It all depends, but everybody, as a musician, I would say, deserves the right to be able to try something new if they want to. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of the point of being an artist.
Yeah, and whether you have, like the means to accomplish that, right? Like comes
Right.
down to everybody, every individual story. But like I agree with you. I think everybody's entitled to make their art how they want to make it. And if you're somebody who isn't interested in home recording and you only want to go into a studio and you're willing to work a shitty job and save up all your money and every 2 years you go into a studio and you spend it on that, more power to you, my brother. Like, do your thing.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. But if you're like, no, I want to do it on a budget and I just want to make music when I want to make music and I don't want to pay very much to do it, then like get yourself a little Scarlet Focusrite and just like start chipping away and just start figuring out how it works. Like it's so easy to make music now. It's so easy to record yourself. It's never been
Absolutely.
easier, quite frankly. And it's never been easier to sound as good as you can sound with very minimal equipment. And I think yeah, like what you said earlier is like very astute and like very true. Like for reference and for context, like we spent 10 times as much money on Sweet Tooth as we did on Best Buds.
Yeah.
Like for the end result. Actually more than actually about 15 times. And we spent about
Yeah.
20 times what we spent on Best Buds on Bear Market. Like we so like Best Buds probably would have sounded a lot better if I had spent 10 times as much money, even if it was recorded with the same person in the same
Right.
place. Never mind if we had had the budget to like go do something really, really hi-fi all the way back in 2016, but that just wasn't where we were. And I think that one thing that I always try to, um, or I hope that people will understand is that like mom jeans, at least, we're always going to be just like reflective of like where we're at. Like where we're at is going to change and the goalpost is going to change as a result because like we're getting older and like we're
Yeah.
getting wiser and our lives are changing and the world is changing and like people go through phases, like people's personalities go through big changes in cycles of 5 or 7 years. And I think it's normal for your music and for your sound and for your attitude and your aesthetic to change along, like you said, like bands should be experimenting and they should be
Yeah.
trying new things. But what I hope that people understand about mom jeans is like, as we're doing that, when we're trying something, it's always for a good reason. And it's always for
Hmm.
something that like we genuinely believe in, or it's something that we genuinely want. And it's something that we feel like we've earned. Like we're not cavalier about the fact that people have invested a lot of time and a lot of energy supporting this band and like helping us get to the point that we are now. So we have no intentions of like our desire to satisfy our own impulses coming off as disrespect. That's not what we want anybody to feel, right? But I think at the same time, like we're pretty upfront. We're pretty transparent about what's going on at all times. Like Best Buds era was what it was. The Puppy Love era was what it was. We were like, hey, we're doing this Sweet Tooth thing. It was what it was. And the next album is going to be just like that. Like what you see is what you get with Mom Jeans. And it's always going to be that way. And so I think that, the bigger we are and the better we're doing, the more money we're going to have to throw at stuff. So the crazier our music videos are going to be, the bigger the budgets are going to be, the bigger the tours are going to be, the crazier the albums are going to sound. But,
Hmm.
life is long and the music industry is tumultuous. And we now currently find ourselves in a position where we just aren't sure what we want to do next, and we hold all the cards and it's kind of up to us and there's no rush and we can just kind of figure it out, and that's an interesting place to be in, and kind of like letting people along on that ride this whole time has kind of been what we're about. And I hope that, yeah, I don't know. I hope that nobody ever feels like we're playing with their emotions, or like
Well,
playing with their feelings or their investment or whatever.
and there's also a difference between, because there's also like two different like routes you can take with like experimentation. Like, I mean, like Green Day with Warning was a
Hmm.
complete departure, but that they wanted to try something new. Like lots of bands experiment, but there's a difference between experimenting to try and better your craft, better your art, than having a departure of your sound because you are following the instructions of labels or other things like that who are telling you
Yeah.
how you have to sound and how you have to be. And I think like it's, you know, growing and experimenting through growth is great.
Hmm.
Everybody does that. As long as you don't take the path of following the labels.
Yeah, and I think that maybe like
That's also fine if that's your
to
path.
to the average listener's credit, to also maybe, like, and this, it's not an accident that the lines are blurred. It's not an accident that the average listener can't discern, like where their money's actually going when they
Right.
spend money on vinyl or on, like, it's not their fault. Like, the whole industry is set up to scam people. Like, that's all it is. It's set up to scam artists. It's set up to scam the listener. It's set up to scam the venue. Like, it's just a bunch of people scamming each other. But people find their pockets and they make it work. And I think that it's really interesting, to, to make that point, that it's like where that comes from is important, like where the experimentation comes from and where the departure comes from.
Yeah.
And at least like for Mom Jeans, like we're really, really fortunate in that, we don't have people telling us what we should or shouldn't do. We don't have people telling us like what we should or shouldn't sound like. um Thankfully, like, we never have. Like Sweet Tooth and the decision to sound that way. And you know I would even be careful to call Sweet Tooth like a departure from our old sound, because I don't even know if it was a huge departure so much as it was
Sure.
just like an updated version,
Yeah.
like a more polished version of what we already sound like. But even that, like, and I think that it is like really, really hard sometimes for like your average music fan and your average kid to know, well, like, okay, is this band like playing this song because this is what they actually like? What did they just really love the Turnstile record and now they want to do heavy shit? Like, because that, I think that's cool. I think it's cool
Yeah.
to be influenced by stuff and to wear it on your sleeve. Like, that's how art evolves. And the fact that like Turnstile made hardcore cool to everybody
Hmm.
is a good thing, because like more
Yeah.
interesting hardcore music is going to get made as a result of it, and it's going to come around, right? So I think that's real. I think that's genuine. People falling in love with stuff and being influenced by things that they like. I hope that never goes away. I hope people never stop
Absolutely.
doing weird shit like that. But I agree with you that like sometimes it's very unclear, and depending on what kind of social media presence that you have, and depending on what kind of attitude you have, like in press, and just like kind of how you carry yourself, unfortunately, like it's not always super clear where people's motivations are. And I never want to make assumptions. Like, if anything, I probably assume too often that people have good intentions and are doing things for the right reasons, like particularly like musicians. I never want to assume that anybody is in a band like just because they want to be popular, or just because they want to make money, or just because they're trying to, satisfy some need for self-validation. Um, pick a different industry if that's what you want to, you know what I'm saying? By the way.
Oh, absolutely.
So I like, and I feel a really, really strong camaraderie with my fellow musician, with my fellow songwriter, with the people on the ground who are like working the tours and putting on the shows. I don't feel a ton of camaraderie with people who work at record labels, and people who are concerned about like trends, and concerned with understanding how to capitalize on those things. um,
Hmm.
but that's just like my personal experience, and I think that also like record labels are very, very challenging entities to interact with. because they're never consistent. They're not solid. Like they're fluid entities. They're
Yeah.
constantly changing and they're constantly evolving. And like what they do with your band is never what they do with the next band. And they're always like 10 steps ahead of things. And so sometimes, I've seen, and to your point, I think the relationships that I have seen work out for bands with record labels, because not every relationship is bad with a record label.
Right.
Like the ones that I have seen work out are the ones where the record labels trust the artists
Mhm.
and really make an active effort to give the artist what they feel like they need to be comfortable embarking on the next cycle, embarking on the next project, embarking on the next phase of their band, which is new music. And that's obviously easier said than done. And I don't,
Right.
I don't feel bad for anybody who works at a record label, but it's like I could see how someone would feel bad for somebody who works at a record label and not like in the current environment that we're in with post-COVID and social media and like the way that people interact with art is changing on a daily basis. And
Absolutely.
nobody knows how to predict what people are going to like in 6 months. Nobody knows how to predict what people are going to be into in 2 months. By that means, and everybody's scrambling like a chicken with their head cut off and simultaneously trying to pretend like, oh yeah, you guys we're super solid, like everything's great, we're all fine, like right. And I think that I think that the musicians are the real champions of this industry. Like the people really doing the work and creating the art that everyone feeds off of are the real champions of this industry. And so I think that if anybody ever gets some type of feeling to bring it all back and put a point on it, I think if anybody ever gets some kind of feeling about a band, changing up their sound or whatever, I think like do the bare minimum and do like a little bit of research and maybe like look into the band and see, why they're doing that, bear
I'm
market.
sure they've talked about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they've said something. I'm sure they've alluded to it. I'm sure somebody's done an interview somebody somewhere and like in this day and age you shouldn't have to dig that hard to
Right.
find those things. And I'm not calling anybody lazy, but you know, you'd be surprised how difficult it is sometimes to get people to do the bare minimum to find information. Um,
Hmm.
and so I think that like, yeah, like if you're somebody who feels that type of way, like do some research and like look in the band and find out why they're doing it. And if you feel it in your gut that there's just like something wrong there, and that like there's probably some dark force with their hand on your favorite band's shoulder that's telling them to do stuff that you don't want them to do, chances are you're probably right. I won't lie to you. Like if you get that gut feeling, chances are you're probably right. But if it's just a knee-jerk reaction and you just like don't necessarily instantly understand the mindset or the intent that a band has when they do something, because that's the last piece of advice I'll give to end, and that is like I think sometimes audiences and fans of bands think that we think that they're stupid. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like they have sometimes I think people get the impression that like artists and labels like don't respect their intelligence and don't think that they can see what's going on and don't think that they can read between the lines. I don't know if it's just my band's fan base or if it is all fans of music. I tend to think that it is all fans of music, but people are a lot freaking smarter than you give them credit for. Like
Oh, totally.
they're they're not finding information on the internet because they're not smart. They're not finding it because they're bombarded by all of the other information that they're getting constantly on their feed every day. Like, and maybe like I studied sociology in school, so maybe it's just like
Yep.
hardwired in my brain to like look at things from like 50 different angles, right? And consider all of the circumstances. Um, but I think that it's important to like at least like I can speak for my band at least, and I'd say that like when I look out at our fan base, at our audiences, like I do not think that those people are not intelligent. Like I think that they are fully aware of everything that is going on. Not necessarily the inner workings of like our business, but like I think that they have the ability to detect bullshit is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
totally.
Like And and I think that, knowing that you can hopefully, fans of our band and fans of other bands can trust that, like, hey, we're not trying to like pull the wool over your eyes, or like we're not trying to trick you. We're not trying to like tell you something is good when we think and know that it's bad. Like that's not what we do. And we're never going to do that. We'll either stand by it 100% and die on that hill, or we won't put it out. We won't present it to you because we'll know that it's bad and we won't want anybody to see it.
Absolutely. And so, speaking of like doing a little bit of research and things like that, so I had found like an interview that you had done, and I loved what you had to say. And so I wanted to have you talk about it on here with us for our
Sure.
listeners to hear. So, one of the things that Mom Jeans and Unsigned Pop Punk have in common is that is being passionate about music, and that if anyone wants to start a band, they should do it. So many people have a fear of sharing their own voice or don't think that they're good enough. And for those of our listeners out there dealing with this, what would you tell them?
I would, that's an interesting question. I think you touched on a lot of stuff. So I would just say baseline, like blanket statement, as an individual, and I know that there are a handful of people out there in the world who agree with me. I think it's way cooler to like shit than it is to not like shit.
Totally.
Um, Biggie pack Piggybacking off of that, I think it is way cooler to do stuff than it is to not do stuff. I think it is way cooler to make shit than it is to just not make shit. And I think that we have a tendency, and it's not our fault, right? It's capitalism, it's politics, it's gender roles, it's all of this stuff. Like we have a lot of forces, dictating, what we think is a good use of our time, and what we think is a good use of our energy, and what we think is a good, use of our emotional output, in today's day and age. And I think that if you can if you are one of those people who is really passionate about something, really wants to get involved with something, you have that spark, you have that fire under your ass, and it keeps you up at night. You can't focus. You can't, anybody who feels that way knows what I'm talking about. And I think that like if you can remind yourself that like that's not a bad thing, that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
And that like there is no good enough. I think that if any person decides to say fuck it and get up off of the couch and do something, like I'm applauding them. Like I think that they're a hero. I don't care if you're painting, I don't care if you're making pottery, I don't care if you're smearing your own shit on a wall and calling it art. But if you wake up one day and you say, fuck it, I'm going to the art supply store and like I'm buying the materials and like I'm making a shitty painting today. Like I don't care. Like in my own experience, I had this funny, like I decided I was gonna get back into fishing like in the last couple of weeks. And like
Correct.
I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm going to the fucking sporting goods store and like I'm getting a rod and I'm getting some tackle and I'm gonna fucking do it. Like I'm sick of sitting around and thinking about it and planning and pontificating and watching other people on YouTube do it. I'm just tired of doing it. I'm tired of it. And I think that that's a good feeling. Like don't let that demotivate you. Like don't let that be like something that slows you down. Like use that fuel and use that energy, and remind yourself that like just doing something and getting out, that's so much cooler than like not doing it. Because
Hmm.
I know how that anxiety brain works. I know how those spiraling thoughts work, telling you like, don't even bother going. You're gonna get there, and the guy at the store is gonna think you're an idiot, and he's not gonna help you pick out a fishing rod that you
They
like. Like,
probably
what?
won't even have
They
fishing
probably won't
rods.
even have it, dude. They probably only have saltwater stuff there, and it's like, oh, boy, you're gonna fish for trout? Like, what an idiot, right? You have these. It's so easy to get yourself into these thought processes of like, oh, well, if I show somebody my song, like they're gonna hate it, B, think I'm an idiot, and
Hmm.
C, not want to be my friend anymore, and 4, tell everybody that I know that my song was bad and that I'm an idiot and that they don't want to be my friend anymore. And
Yeah.
truthfully, that's not going to happen 90% of the time. And piggybacking off of what you said at like the end of it, I think that like I was actually talking with Carrie from Bad Bad Hats last night about this. And she gave this amazing piece of advice, which is just like getting in the room with other musicians is going to make you grow. And it doesn't even have to be music. Again, like if podcasting is your passion, like sitting down and spending time with people who also love podcasting and asking them questions and just like learning and talking shop is going to make you better. And
Yeah.
if you're a nice person and if you're genuinely interested, like people aren't going to make fun of you. Like they're going to be stoked. Not to throw in too many personal anecdotes, but like I went on a bit of a personal journey learning how to make glass art, like borosilicate glass art on a torch during the
Cool.
pandemic. And when I was first getting started, I was really, really self-conscious and I didn't know how to get the ball rolling. I knew it was something that I wanted to try. I knew it was something that I wanted to learn about. And I was convinced that like nobody was going to teach me, nobody was going to have the patience to give me the introduction or show me. And you know, this is a reflection on this individual, but like I met an incredible teacher, like the guy Justin Unity Glassworks who taught me how to blow glass. Like he met me and he saw like, oh wait, this kid like actually likes glass. Like he just likes it and he thinks that it's cool.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel good. It's the same, like parents feel the same way when their kids get excited and get happy about things, right? Like it's you can sense joy in other people. And I think that there's certain types of people in this world who like they get fuel from that. They get fuel from other people's passion and from other people's excitement. And I would
Absolutely.
tell somebody who's feeling that way is like there are there may be more people out there who would make fun of you, but like A, they're not doing anything, and B, they're just haters, and they weren't gonna help you anyway. Like even if you went out and you did something good and killed it, they'd still be talking shit about you and they still wouldn't be helping anyway. So like don't concern yourself with them. The people who are really going to help you, who are really going to teach you, who are really going to, be life-changing individuals with life-changing relationships, they're going to see the heart beating out of your chest when you talk about the thing that you love. They're going to see the fire in your eyes when you start talking about the thing, and they're going to be excited by that, and they're going to be fueled by that, and they're going. No one is who sees that is ever going to make fun of you. Nobody's ever going to judge you. Nobody's ever going to tell you that your song sucks or that your podcast is stupid or that your painting is bad if they know that you really, really love it.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Pat started that question saying that that's like something that Mom Jeans and Unsigned Pop Punk has in common. And
yeah.
another thing that like I know that we have in common is like you guys like bring on like you guys like to support and like put a shine on bands that you believe in. Like personally, like one example is I can't think of the band Just Friends without thinking of Mom Jeans. So like are there like other bands that you just love to tour with or just like just in general like that you love to like help like shine that spotlight or give them that platform?
I mean, we could do an entire podcast episode, me just talking about bands that I like. Realistically, Just Friends is a great example. They're a great one to talk about because particularly Sam, we're lucky enough to have him actually playing in Mom Jeans now. That wasn't always the case. Particularly Sam and that group of people has had the most influence on me. I've probably like learned the most about life and about music from Sam and from Matt Yanko from that band. Um, and I think that like I can never repay that. That's like I carry this insane guilt around with me like all the time from like a number of different places. Like I feel guilty about the people that have supported us in the times when we didn't deserve support, we weren't entitled to it. People who jumped in the van with us and were like, yeah, fuck it, I'll sell merch for you. Or like, yeah, I'll be your tour manager, like $20 a day. Like, okay, let's go. Like, I don't care. And, people like Joel Kirschenbaum, like our manager, our creative director, like he makes music he's an incredible musician. And so it's like, it's only obvious that like I'm going to listen to that, like I'm going to care about it, I'm going to share that with people.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that like pretty much anybody who has ever like had had a positive impact on me, like either musically or in my life, like if they play music, like their band gets listened to on my Spotify for sure. Because it's like, for me, it's just like it's like continuing to get to hang out with my friends, and I love that relationship aspect
Oh
of it.
yeah.
So that's kind of why, and that's everything to me. Is like, if even if we're playing like at the biggest show we've ever played, if we're playing at House of Blues Boston, we're playing at Fox Theater, like I want it to feel like that house show that I threw at my mom's house, where Just Friends played and my high school ska band played, and like the other kids at our high school played. Like I want that sense of like, oh, like I'm as excited for you guys to play, if not more excited for them to play than I am to play my own set. And you know, it's not lost on us that in a from a business standpoint, like that translates. Like people can tell when you're having
Yeah.
fun and when
Yeah.
you're stoked about the bands that you're on tour with. But it really is because like I don't like I'm not gonna go on tour if I'm not stoked to like play with the bands. Because like otherwise, like why would I like that's the whole point of me playing a show. That's just like where
Mhm.
we come from. Um, and then there's also the other side of it is that I think that, you know, Mom Jeans has been grappling with and will always have to grapple with this kind of idea of like the fallen soldiers, if you will, like throughout the years. Like we've had the privilege of interacting with and playing with, I shit you not, like some of the most talented people to have ever walked this earth. And some of those bands and some of those artists like either aren't alive or like don't exist anymore. Like some of those bands like don't play music anymore. Some of those people don't play music anymore. Um, like some of those bands are still around, but will never get the attention or the praise or the recognition that they rightfully deserve. They'll never get to play a sold out big venue. They'll never get to go to Europe. They'll never get to go to Australia. They'll never get to go to Japan. It's just not in the cards for them. Um, and I think that whether it's like just a little bit of imposter syndrome or something else, like while we were coming up as a band and even today, like I look around me at like the graveyard of the bands that were around when I was coming up and aren't, and I'm like, they were so much fucking better than us. Like, I'm not kidding. Like their music was just better. They were cooler. They were edgier. They like, and they didn't like pop off or like people didn't
Right.
like respect their music. And I think that I feel a sense of responsibility because and well and I think that that's like that's not for any particular reason either. Like it's not for any one reason. You know, there's like a lot of luck involved in this industry, a ton of luck involved in this
Yeah.
industry. And you know, like the algorithm has only made that worse.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just like a certain amount of our own success we don't necessarily feel comfortable with. So I feel like I feel a sense of responsibility to like pay that back and to pay that and to pay that back. So it's like if I have more eyes on me than I should. So if I have that, I'm going to take that and have them look at something that I think is important, that I think also deserves attention, that I think also deserves support, that I also think, you know, is as good, if not better, than what we're doing here that you've all apparently fallen so much in love with. So, like, why wouldn't you want that? And I think that that's maybe just a natural thing, you know, like that. I want to know the bands that my favorite bands listened to,
Right.
and so, like why not be again like super transparent with that, like, and not have any secrets and just like always be straight up like these are the bands that I'm listening to, like this is the stuff that I like and this is what I'm following right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, and for like a fan, it's also exciting to be like to find a new band or like your favorite band is listening to this and be like, oh, what's that? I want to check that out. If they're listening to it, I want to check it out.
Yeah, and
You
I
know?
think we have to, not that we have to, but like I want to continue to prove to people that like our band that like we're still fans of music. too.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and like I've said this before too in interviews. It's like I don't expect anybody to come to our show and have a good time if we're not having a good time. I don't expect anybody to buy into what we're doing or what we're playing if we don't buy into it. So, like, yeah, it's why would yeah.
No, for sure. I completely get that. I mean, that makes the most sense. And so, like, kind of also kind of going off of a little bit of that. So we got one more question quick before
Sure.
we go to a quick break.
Hmm.
And this is just another chance for you to give some of that fucking advice.
No worries.
If you could give our listeners, which are a lot of our listeners are aspiring musicians and bands and stuff. So if you could give our listeners a piece of advice that you know now that you wish you knew when you're first starting your musical journey, what would that be? You've already given so much
I
advice
know.
This may sound weird, and maybe this advice is a little bit far ahead for someone who's like just getting started.
Sure.
But I think the two biggest things I will ever say is pay your taxes and
Fair.
get a lawyer.
Like both are fantastic. I mean,
it's not fun. I'll tell you that it's not fun, but like neither is the tax man coming to collect, and neither is signing shit that you don't understand and having to deal with the consequences of that. So I think that like those are, two pieces of advice that I was not necessarily given, or I didn't necessarily understand. It didn't imprint on me. I'm sure people told me, but
yeah,
I did
sure.
not realize, but it's like for real, like starting your LLC, like it's never too early. Like there are Karens in their spare bedroom making beaded bracelets that have LLCs for their business. And so
Right.
like there's no reason why like your band can't, and why you shouldn't be protecting like that one person who's currently paying the whole band like through their social security number and like dealing with all the tax burden. Like don't do that shit anymore. Like pay your taxes properly, get a lawyer, start a LLC, and just like unfortunately we don't like bands don't have the privilege of like not having to operate like a business in this kind of economy right now.
Yeah, not anymore.
If you're doing anything besides just playing for fun, if anybody's giving you money of any kind, even if you're not breaking even, if people are giving you money, like that's just what you have to do, and you have to you have to cover your bases. So sorry, it's not fun. It's not very sexy advice, but
I
No,
don't know,
it's
man. Not getting caught with your pants down and like owing a shit ton of money is pretty sexy to me.
that's good
So
advice because you
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised how many bands do not think about, oh, we should get an LLC, or hey, we're doing business with these people and they're paying us.
and to even go further off of that, anybody who tells you that it's not important is trying to take advantage of you. And anybody who tells you that you don't need that is trying to take advantage of you, because the second that you put out music, people are there to try to take advantage of you. That's how the whole thing works. And so if you aren't actively taking steps to protect yourself and make sure that you aren't creating sinkholes for yourself along the way as you make your decisions, that's the best thing that you can do. Um, because like it's really unfortunate how quickly like artists and bands like lose their freedom, quote unquote, to like do what they want to do. Kind of how you were saying earlier, without having the influence of labels and managers and people telling them how to do their thing. It happens so early. And when I tell you how early along in the process of bands, people, agents and managers are getting involved and labels are getting involved in people's careers, it is like, it's crazy how small some of these bands that are getting signed and are getting picked up are, because it's just going deeper and deeper and deeper and down the rabbit hole. So I think the sooner that people like, yeah, understand that like, unfortunately, it's not fair, but this industry is set up in a way that like artists have the responsibility of protecting themselves. Nobody is going to do you that favor, no matter how much money you're making, because it's actually in everybody else's best interest to like let you figure that out for yourself and pick up the bits that fall off. So
Well, they do have somebody looking out for him. They got Eric Butler.
Yeah, bro, bang my line. You ever want me to?
And with
you
that,
Yeah.
with Eric looking out for you on that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our next segment. What's up, friends? We're super stoked to tell you that we just partnered with GFUEL. And let me tell you, there is no more pop punk beverage on the market right now than GFUEL. GFUEL keeps you energized, focused, and hydrated. If you go to gfuel.com right now and use code Unsigned Pop Punk, you're gonna save 20% off your entire order. You can get it in the tub form and have 40 freaking servings of flavors like Rick and Morty's Unstable Portal Fluid, which is a delicious strawberry limeade, or get something in the can form like Sonic's Peach Rings or Crash Bandicoot's Wumpa Fruit. Go to gfuel.com and check it out for yourself. Let us know what your favorite flavor is. And once again, don't forget to use our code Unsigned Pop Punk to save 20%. It's a heck of a deal, man.
And we're back. Thanks so much for sticking around. We're hopping into our food for thought segment, which, let's be honest, we all love food. We all chat about food. So
Love it.
one of the most iconic fast food joints in California is obviously In-N-Out.
Let's go.
So
Obviously.
being from California, I think you're the perfect person to judge this because you've traveled all over the country. Do you believe there's a better burger than a double animal style?
So I don't, when it comes to like an overall fast food burger experience, I don't think that In-N-Out can be beat. Personally, for a large scale chain restaurant, there's a burger place in Seattle. They have a handful of locations in the Seattle area that's called Dick's Drive-In. That's the best burger in America. I will
Ooh.
die on that hill. Best burger in America. If you're ever in the Seattle area, Dick's Deluxe. It will change your fucking life.
I think Gibby's writing it down right now.
I'm
I think
writing it
he
down
grabbed
right
his phone.
now.
You should be. But if not, like across, I don't want to catch flack for not liking Whataburger, but I don't like Whataburger.
It's
you know,
fine. It's fine.
it's not for me personally. I think that I'll throw you my order because I think that when it comes to the burger, animal style is not my preference. You gotta
Okay.
do.
Ooh,
So
okay.
I always get 2 burgers. So I get 2 double doubles.
Okay.
No lettuce, no tomato, no onion. That shit's just gonna slow you down and make your burger even sloppier. You get double cheese
Okay.
and extra pickles.
That
I
sounds
like
like my
pickles.
kind of
So
burger.
you're just rocking spread, cheese, meat, pickles, and bun. And then you get the animal style fries.
I feel like you have to have your In-N-Out fries animal style. They're like their fries aren't the best.
It's a tough call sometimes. If you're I would say only get the animal fries if you're eating there. Like if you're picking up and driving home, don't get the animal fries or be prepared to microwave them.
True.
I've also done the thing where I get In-N-Out fries and then I get the spread and then I make my own animal fries at
Ooh,
home
smart.
with sliced cheese and the animal style spread. So that's pretty good. But yeah, and the final cheat that we like, you can actually get your milkshake swirled, so you can get half chocolate, half strawberry at In-N-Out. If you didn't know that,
Oh,
I did not know
damn.
that.
and it's as good as you think it is.
Gibby is lucky enough. You know, he's in Texas, so he has the luxury of Whataburger and In-N-Out.
You lucky son of a gun.
But to be fair, it like the closest In-N-Out's like 2.5, 3 hours away.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you
really?
don't.
Okay.
So fair enough.
Yeah.
So you don't have as much of a luxury as I thought.
Yeah, I would still have to make the trip down to like Austin or San Antonio.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. But, you know, I would drive 2 hours for In-N-Out. That's just
I
me.
also I'll throw one more honorable mention in there as well. If you're familiar with the chain Cookout,
Yeah, Cookout's good.
Yeah. So we always got to pay respects to Cookout. I'm gonna have a rough time the next morning on the toilet, guaranteed, but it's worth it every time.
Next time you're in Austin,
luxury of
go ahead.
Cookout, but
Mhm.
I've heard lots of praise for it.
Cookout's
It's
good.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Next time you're in Austin, we've discovered a burger joint place called Jew Boy Burger.
Jew boy
and
burger.
I think that is the best burger I've ever had.
Nice. That's awesome.
Right
Jew
on.
boy burger. I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. See, we're just sharing burger connections right now.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is, what is your go-to on the road snack?
Oh, this is an easy one. I haven't been able to actually find them in a couple places recently, but you ever had like the little Hillshire Farms like charcuterie board from the 7-Eleven or the gas station?
Oh
So it's got
Totally.
like the little crostinis and a little salami and a little piece of cheese. I with those
Oh,
so
yeah.
hard. You give me one of those and a couple of bottles of body armor, and you won't hear a peep out of me for at least 4 hours of the drive.
Anytime that there is like a meat tray, like a meat and cheese tray, like at any event, I feel like it doesn't matter how full you are, you can still just continue to eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think bananas are also a really, really great go-to because it's not fun, but it's hard to stay regular on the road out there, and it's hard to get your fruits and veg, and pretty
True.
much wherever you are, like a gas station banana is like no worse than a grocery store banana in most cases.
No,
Which is
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the
they're pretty
same.
consistent.
So you've traveled all over. I want you to power rank your top 3 travel stops. Whether that's like Love's, Bucky's, Sheets,
Oh,
Quick
top 3
Trips,
travel stops.
like
Mhm.
travel centers, I guess it might be the proper term.
Yeah, I'm a diehard Loves fan personally. I love Loves. But you know, like realistically, we spend. Yeah, I think I'll throw Bucky's in at number 3 because like Bucky's got to get the honorable mention. Um, I also think that just like the sheer size and enormity
Yeah.
of Bucky's is hilarious. We always drive by this truck stop in Nevada going east that claims to be the largest truck stop in the world. And we always drive by, and I'm like, dude, this is like half the size of like your average Bucky's.
Yeah, it's
Like this
Yeah.
is
the world's largest truck stop for those that haven't been to a Bucky's.
yeah. So I think that like the largest truck stop in the world is literally probably just one of the Bucky's somewhere, and I'm not sure which one it is. So I'll put them in 3 just because of that. I also I like Flying J. I'll put Flying J and Pilot tied for second.
Okay.
Because I just like a good trucker stop. Like they have cleaner bathrooms, they have more selection, they have better, you know, food options. And then Loves at number 1 because I love Loves. And they
I
usually got a Cinnabon in there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I think of like the main 3 truck stops though, like the Flying J's, Pilots, and Loves. I agree. Like Loves, I'm always gonna hold out for a Loves. If I see like a Flying J or like a Pilot, I'm like, I could stop here, but there'll probably be a Loves pretty soon here.
Yeah, I'll put it in these terms. If I'm driving the van and risking everybody's life by looking for a truck stop on my phone while I'm driving, Loves is the first one I'm typing in, you know.
Accurate.
If there aren't any, then I'll see if there's a Pilot or a Flying J.
We got one more of our food for thought questions,
Right.
and I like this. Gibby popped this one in, and I think it's real fun. Gave me a good laugh. If you were a potato, what kind of potato would you be?
Baked potato.
I have a baked potato waiting for me after this interview. I'm so excited.
That's just a little weed joke, but I think it's worth the pun.
It's
It's worth
worth
noting,
the fun.
yeah. Because see, I also had like my first thought was like I'd be a couch potato for show.
I'm glad you guys weren't expecting me to be like a russet potato or like Yukon, like
I almost
species
like
of
that would have
potato.
been great too.
I was ready for that.
Which genus of potato would you be?
I'm a big fan of sweet potato because I'm just so darn sweet.
I guess purple ube potato would be a good one too, because those things are dank.
My go-to
There's
would have been baked
so many
potato.
options.
So many options.
That's it for our food for thought
Awesome.
segment. that was our real hard hitting journalism that we
Yeah,
wanted
man.
to get you with.
Dude, the fucking mainstream media is never gonna ask these questions. You know what I'm saying?
No, you come to the Where Did All My Friends Go podcast for these hard hitting journalism.
Yeah.
Our fans, we want to know what kind of potato you'd want to be.
Rolling Stone, Paste Magazine, their radio silence from MTV. Nobody's got anything on what potato would you be. This is
Ain't got shit on us.
lazy journalism.
Lazy. It's just that's it. It's just lazy.
That's why Pitchfork went under, dude. They weren't asking people what kind of potatoes they wanted to be.
I know. And look where they are now. Look where we are now. Hitting the skies, top of the charts.
Yeah.
We're number one music podcast.
Don't look. Just trust us. It's number one in the world.
Yeah, just trust. Just trust.
No need to check.
We're on our way. We're on our way.
Yeah.
We're number one in your heart.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. See,
Yeah,
we should make a shirt that says we are number one in your heart, because that's really all that matters.
Graduating Life had the first Graduating Life shirt that we ever made. It just said "number one rock band, America, USA."
I love that.
Love that.
That's giving it some gusto.
Bart has a way with words, to say the least.
And yeah, it was kind of like a haiku, right?
Yeah.
It hit all the stanzas. I think. I don't know. I ain't gonna try to think too hard about that.
Yeah, I'm not
all
smart
right.
enough for that.
It's time for a rapid fire question segment.
Sweet.
Friendships will be tested. Rapid fire questions.
You're just gonna speak from the heart. You're gonna shoot from the hip.
I'm gonna disconnect
Whatever the first
my brain from my mouth and just speak with my first impulse.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you got this. All right, Monster Energy or Rockstar?
Monster.
Nice. Pop punk or emo?
Emo.
Taylor Swift or John Mayer?
Taylor Swift.
Nice. That's right. That's the right answer. But they're both right answers. But Taylor Swift is the right answer. Skinny jeans or baggy pants?
Baggy pants.
Yeah. I'm in that era now. Speaking of Taylor Swift, I'm in my baggy pants era. It's good stuff. Disney Plus or Netflix?
Netflix.
Stuffed crust or deep dish pizza?
Stuffed crust, because I'm a dirty little boy.
Yeah. Vans or Chuck Taylors?
Ooh, Vans.
All right, and this is our last one here. The All-American Rejects or the Offspring?
All-American Rejects.
Nice. They both got their bangers.
Had the chance to see them at When We Were Young festival. It was awesome.
Nice.
Ooh.
I just saw them with Newfound Glory and the Get Up Kids.
Sounds like it was probably a great show.
It was magical.
Yeah.
Because I love me some Get Up Kids.
Hell yeah.
But that's it. You did it. You finished the
survived.
podcast.
Do I get a t-shirt?
Yes.
I survived the podcast.
Yep. It's like anyone who actually makes it to the end of the podcast, you get a shirt, just like if you're doing like the Buffalo Wild Wings Blazing Challenge.
Yeah, we're not doing it for this tour, but I really want to do a shirt like that one time for one of the tours. It's just like, I survived the Mom Jeans show. like,
dude,
like you just went on Tower of Terror or something.
Instant sellout right there, honestly.
But yeah, thank you all so much for
buy
having
two.
me. I appreciate it. This was fun.
It was a blast.
Oh yeah, now all that's left, just let everybody know what you got going on, where they can find you, and what's next.
Sheet, you can find Mom Jeans just about any damn where you like to listen to music, I think. Wherever that may be, do your thing. We have our t-shirt company that our friends run, Honey TV, have a Discord channel, and there's a little Mom Jeans channel on that where you can talk about stuff. I'm in there, Sam's in there, and we answer a lot of questions on a weekly, daily basis, which is really fun. I'm doing Instagram live hangouts with the bands that we're touring with on the upcoming tour, all the way leading up until the shows start, so people can keep their eyes peeled for that. We have a live session that we recorded ourselves at New Tone Studios, which is the studio that we made Bear Market at. That's going to be coming out sometime in the next couple weeks, so everybody can keep their eyes peeled for that. But otherwise, like, I feel like you know what it is. It's just Mom Jeans. We're gonna keep doing the thing that we've always done, and we hope to see you there.
Hell yeah, I'll be there. I know Gibby will be there.
Oh, I'll
Hell
definitely
yeah.
be there. So, fun fact,
If you guys haven't bought tickets already, let me know. We'll get you some guest list spots.
Oh heck yeah.
I might have to hit you up about that. I'll have to see what the dates are again. I was gonna say, fun fact, last time I actually saw you guys live was at Four Chord Fest when we were
Yeah.
there as vendors as well.
Yeah.
That was
I know.
awesome.
I sat in the tent while Gibby went and watched.
That was awesome. We had so much fun that day. It was our first time. We didn't really know what to expect, and just it's such a cool atmosphere. Just
It
in
really
the
was. That
baseball
was my
stadium.
first
It
time
was
being
so
there.
fun.
Yeah, I love that they do it in like a minor league stadium too, because it's just a little bit smaller and it's a little bit more intimate. I feel like we did another festival where they actually went into like a major league baseball stadium, and it was like, this is a little crazy, a little big, but it was really, really cool. Yeah, we like that festival a lot. Those guys are really neat.
Oh yeah, we're bummed that we weren't able to go back last year for it, but I think it was so fun because they also had a tattoo artist there, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
like Gibby got his
I'll show
a
you.
piece of pizza.
Yeah, the classic
just
pop
right
punk
here.
tattoo. There we go.
Right on his thigh there.
Little pizza. Let's
And then
go.
I had to get my Milo so that I could properly go see the Descendants.
Yes, of course.
Made the most sense. But
That's awesome.
thanks so much, Eric, for hanging out with us.
Of course.
And like express how awesome this was and how much we appreciate you and everything Mom Jeans is doing.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'm gonna go see if I can get a few casts in before it gets too dark.
Heck yeah, go get it.
Yeah.
All right. And
Well, also, if you want to
yes.
send me that Discord link, I'll have
Yeah.
it. I'll get it so we can post it in like the descriptions.
Cool. Yeah, I'll send it to you in the email.
Oh, perfect.
Killer. All
Awesome.
right. Well, we'll see y'all next week. This week we will not have unsigned pop punk news, so don't wait around for it. Bye. See you next week. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Please hit that like, subscribe, or follow button so you never miss an episode. And thank you so much to those of you who already are. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you stream your podcasts. If you're in the position to help us grow and like behind the scenes access and exclusive shows, head on over to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/unsignedpoppunk. Let us know in the comments who you'd like to see on the show and what other content you'd like to see. Thank you all so much.